What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's Cybersecurity Weekly, where we review the security events that happened in the last week. As always, I have broken the stories down in the timeline, and there is a list of them in the description, so you can jump around to any story you see fit. If you find my work valuable, of course, I ask you to hit the like button and share this episode with anyone you know who can benefit from this information. If you have not already, please consider subscribing to my channel.
Oh, drat these computers. They're so naughty and so complex. I could pinch them.
We start off today with patches. Apple has addressed a zero-day vulnerability tracked as CVE-2022-22973, actively exploited in attacks aimed at Macs and Apple Watch devices. The flaw is an out-of-bounds write issue that resides in the Apple AVD. It can lead to arbitrary code execution with kernel privileges. An application may be able to execute arbitrary code with kernel privileges, reads the advisory published by Apple. An out-of-bounds write issue was addressed with improved bounds checking. Apple is aware of a report that this issue may have been actively exploited. The IT giant impacted macOS Big Sur and Apple Watch Series 3 or later. The company fixed the issue with the release of macOS Big Sur 11.6.6 and watchOS 8.6. Users have to install the updates as soon as possible. This is the sixth zero-day addressed by Apple since January. We now move on to attacks, vulnerabilities, and updates. Microsoft's security intelligence team, Microsoft, reported that a new variant of the Sysrv botnet tracked as Sysrv-K now includes exploits for vulnerabilities in the Spring framework and WordPress. Threat actors use the botnet in a crypto mining campaign targeting Windows and Linux servers. The botnet has been active since at least the end of 2020, but its activity was documented in April 2021 by multiple security researchers. Sysrv-K leverages the exploits to take over the vulnerable web servers. The malware targets different issues, including a code injection vulnerability tracked to CVE-2022-22973 that resides in the Spring Cloud Gateway library. A remote attacker could send specially crafted requests to vulnerable systems to gain arbitrary code execution. The botnet also supports scanning capabilities for WordPress configuration files and their backups. The feature allows operators to access sensitive data, including database credentials. Like older variants, Sysrv-K scans for SSH keys, IP addresses, and host names, and then attempts to connect to the other systems in the network via SSH to deploy copies of itself, reads a tweet published by Microsoft. Microsoft experts also observe the new variant of the Sysrv botnet supports new communication capabilities, including the ability to use a Telegram bot. We see in the past couple of months, more and more of these malwares and ransomware groups that are using services like Telegram as a command and control server, or in this case, to use Telegram as a bot. The Sysrv was designed to deploy Monero miners on vulnerable servers and implements wormable capabilities. Sysrv-Hello is a multi-architecture crypto-jacking botnet that first emerged in late 2020 and employs Golang malware compiled into both Linux and Windows payloads. The malware is equal parts XMRig, crypto miner, and aggressive botnet propagator. The propagator leverages MySQL and Tomcat brute forcing, along with a suite of exploits including those for Atlassian and Apache, reads an analysis published by Lacework last year. The malware also leverages several no-CVE command execution techniques, including those for Jupyter Notebook and Tomcat Manager. Researchers at cybersecurity firm Zyxel announced a Tor website named Eternity Project that offers for sale a broad range of malware, including stealers, miners, ransomware, and DDoS bots. The experts discovered the marketplace during a routine investigation. They also discovered that its operators also have a Telegram channel with around 500 subscribers. The channel was used to share information about malware listings and updates. The operators behind the project allow their customers to customize the binary features through the Telegram channel. Again, we're talking about a group using Telegram for its operations. The operators sell the Stealer module for $260 as an annual subscription. It allows to steal a lot of sensitive information from infected systems, including passwords, cookies, credit cards, and crypto wallets. Stolen data are exfiltrated via Telegram bot. What do you know? The Eternity Miner module goes for $90 as an annual subscription. Customers can customize it with their own Monero pool and anti-VM features. The Eternity operators also sells the Clipper malware for $110. It monitors the clipboard for cryptocurrency wallets and replaces them with the wallet address of the attackers. The Eternity ransomware goes for $490, while the Eternity Worm is available for $390. According to Zyxel, the operators behind the Eternity project are also developing a DDoS bot malware borrowing code from the existing GitHub repository. The experts speculate that the Stealer could also be rebranded from this particular GitHub project, which indicates some links between the two threat actors. Cyber Researcher Labs has observed a significant increase in cybercrime through Telegram channels and cybercrime forums where TAs sell their products without any regulation. We have encountered the Eternity products being sold on one such Telegram channel and Tor website, concludes Zyxel, which also shared indicators of compromise for this threat. A team of researchers from the Secure Mobile Networking Lab at the Technical University of Darmstadt demonstrated a technique to tamper with the firmware and load malware onto a chip while an iPhone is off. Experts pointed out that when an iPhone is turned off, most wireless chips, Bluetooth, near-field communication, and ultra-wideband continue to operate. The Bluetooth and UWB chips are hardwired to the secure element in the NFC chip, storing secrets that should be available in LPM, the researcher said. The low-power mode, or LPM, was implemented with iOS 15. It is supported by iPhone 11, iPhone 12, iPhone 13 devices. Many users are not aware of these features, even if they're aware that their iPhone remains locable even when the device was turned off. The experts mentioned the case of a user-initiated shutdown during which the iPhone remains locatable via the Find My network. The researchers focused their analysis on how Apple implements standalone wireless features while the iOS is not running. They also discovered that the wireless chips have direct access to the secure element. LPM, or low power mode, support is implemented in hardware. The power management unit can turn on chips individually. The Bluetooth and UWB chips are hardwired to the secure element in the NFC chip, storing the secrets that should be available in LPM. Since LPM support is implemented in hardware, it cannot be removed by changing software components, reads the paper published by the researcher. As a result, on modern iPhones, wireless chips can no longer be trusted to be turned off after shutdown. This poses a new threat model. Previous work only considered that journalists are not safe against espionage when enabling airplane mode in case their smartphones were compromised. The experts explain that a threat actor has different options to tamper with firmware, which depend on their preconditions. Unlike NFC and UWB chips, the Bluetooth firmware is neither signed nor encrypted, opening the doors to modification. An attacker with privileged access can exploit this bug to develop a malware that can run on an iPhone Bluetooth chip even when it is off. The current LPM implementation on Apple iPhones is opaque and adds new threats. Since LPM support is based on the iPhone's hardware, it cannot be removed with system updates. Thus, it has a long-lasting effect on the overall iOS security model, concludes the paper. To the best of our knowledge, we are the first who looked into undocumented LPM features introduced in iOS 15 and uncover various issues. Design of LPM features seems to be mostly driven by functionality without considering threats outside of the intended applications. Find My after power off turns shutdown iPhones into tracking devices by design, and the implementation within the Bluetooth firmware is not secured against manipulation. Tracking properties could stealthily be changed by attackers with system-level access. Malwarebytes experts uncovered a campaign that targets German users with custom PowerShell RAT targeting. The threat actors attempt to trick victims into opening weaponized documents by using the current situation in the Ukraine as bait. The attackers registered a decoy site that was an expired German domain name at collaboration-bw.de. The site was hosting a bait document named 22-Q2-Bedrohungslage Ukraine, used to deliver the custom malware. The document appears to contain information about the current crisis in Ukraine. The download page contains a blue download button, and the text on the page claims that the document provides important information about the current threat posed by the Ukrainian crisis. According to the site, the document is constantly updated. Upon clicking on the button, a zip archive is downloaded on the victim's computer. The compressed archive contains a CHM file consisting of several compiled HTML files. If the victim opens the HTML files, they are displayed an error message while the PowerShell runs a base64 command. After deobfuscating the command, we can see it is designed to execute a script downloaded from the fake Baden-Württemberg website using invoke expression, reads the analysis published by Malwarebytes. The downloaded script creates a folder called Security Health Service in the current user directory and drops two files into it, monitor health.command and a script called status.txt. The .command file is very simple and just executes status.txt through PowerShell. The monitor health.cmd achieves persistence by creating a scheduled task that will execute it each day at a specific time. The script bypasses the Windows anti-malware scan interface using an AES encrypted function called bypass. It is decrypted using a generated key and IV before execution. The malicious code builds a unique ID for the victim and exfiltrates data as a JSON data structure sent to the command and control server via a POST request. The RAT supports the following capabilities: download files from the server, upload files to the server, load PS1, load and execute a PowerShell script, command, execute a specific command. It is not easy to attribute this activity to a specific actor, and there are no solid indicators to support attribution. Based on motivation alone, we hypothesize that a Russian threat actor could be targeting German users, but without clear connections in infrastructure or similarities to known TTPs, such attribution is weak, concludes the report that includes indicators of compromise. Trend Micro researchers spotted over 200 Android apps on the Play Store distributing spyware called Facestealer, used to steal sensitive data from infected devices. The malicious apps are able to steal credentials, Facebook cookies, and other personally identifiable information. Some of the malicious apps, discovered by the experts, have been installed over 100,000 times. The Facestealer spyware was first spotted in July 2021 by Dr. Web researchers. The development team behind the threat has frequently changed its code. Most of the malicious apps wear VPN software, followed by camera and photo editing. Trend Micro researchers also discovered 40 fake cryptocurrency miner apps that are variants of similar apps that they discovered in August 2021. The apps deceive users into subscribing to paid services or clicking on ads. Facestealer apps are disguised as simple tools such as virtual private network, camera, photo editing, and fitness apps, making them attractive lures to people who use these types of apps. Because of how Facebook runs its cookie management policy, we feel that these types of apps will continue to plague Google Play, concludes the report published by Trend Micro. As for the fake cryptocurrency miner apps, their operators not only try to profit from their victims by duping them into buying fake cloud-based cryptocurrency mining services, but they also try to harvest private keys and other sensitive cryptocurrency-related information from users who are interested in what they offer. Looking into the future, Trend Micro believes that other methods of stealing private keys and mnemonic phrases are likely to appear. Researchers from the JAMF Threat Labs team have uncovered a new variant of the UpdateAgent macOS malware dropper. The new version is written in Swift and relies on the AWS infrastructure to host its malicious payloads. The new variant of the malware supports common dropper features, including some minor system fingerprinting, endpoint registration, and persistence. The second stage, download and execute the functionality of droppers in general, represent a risky class of malware that support a number of second stage attacks, from malware to spyware to adware to ransomware to whatever, reads the analysis of the experts. The experts noticed a surge in adware/malware distributed via the latest variant of the UpdateAgent macOS malware dropper, which was masquerading as PDF's creator. At the time of discovery, the binary had a 0 rate detection in virus total, and at the time of this writing, the detection rate is 3 out of 60. Upon executing the malware, it connects to a remote server and retrieves a bash script to be executed. The bash script runs directly from the Swift dropper without being saved on the hard drive. The authors of the UpdateAgent malware remain vigilant in keeping it up to date. It is known for having a well-built backend that allows itself to be easily updated, and although they've only seen adware families drop by it, security experts are concerned that there might be other malicious plans for the future with such a well-built infrastructure. Last month, the Conti Ransomware gang claimed responsibility for the attack on Costa Rica government infrastructure. After that, the government refused to pay a ransom. The Costa Rican state will not pay anything to these cyber criminals, said Costa Rica President Carlos Alvarado. The attack impacted multiple government services from the finance ministry to the labor ministry. The initial attack forced the finance ministry to shut down for several hours. The system responsible for paying a good part of the country's public employees, which also handles government pension payments. It also has had two grant extensions for tax payments, reads the post published by the Associated Press. Now, the Conti Ransomware gang is threatening to overthrow the new government of the country. We're determined to overthrow the government by means of a cyber attack. We have already shown you all the strength and power, reads a statement published by the gang on its leak site. We have our insiders in your government. I recommend that you're responsible. Contact UNC 1756. There is less than a week left when we destroy your keys. We are also working on gaining access to your other systems. You have no other options to pay us. We know that you have hired a data recovery specialist. Don't try to find workarounds. I communicate with everyone in this area of business. I have insiders even in your government. I once again appeal to the residents of Costa Rica. Go out on the street and demand payment. Another attempt to get in touch through other services will be punished by deleting the key. The gang claims to have insiders in the government and revealed that the attack was carried out by an affiliate group tracked as UNC 1756. Now the Conti Ransomware gang is demanding a $20 million ransom. Initially, the group asked for the payment of $10 million for the decryption keys to recover the impacted systems. The group warns that it will delete the encryption keys in a week if they don't pay, and it'll be impossible to recover the decrypted files. The group is trying to make pressure or apply pressure on the government by sending a message to its citizens. I appeal to every resident of Costa Rica. Go to your government and organize our rallies so that they would pay us as soon as possible. If your current government cannot stabilize the situation, maybe it's worth changing it, reads the message. Recently, the Conti Ransomware gang added the Peru MOF, or Dirección General de Inteligencia, to the list of its victims on its Tor leak site. The National Directorate of Intelligence is the premier intelligence agency in Peru. The agency responsible for national, military, and police intelligence, as well as counterintelligence. The ransomware gang claimed to have stolen 9.41 gigabytes of data. The U.S. Department of State offers up to $15 million for information that helps identify and locate leadership and co-conspirators of the Conti Ransomware gang. The reward is offered under the Department of State's Transnational Organized Crime Rewards Program. Now, the authorities are offering up to $10 million for information that could allow identifying individuals who hold a key leadership position in the Conti Ransomware gang, while an additional $5 million are offered for the information that could lead to the arrest and or conviction of any individual in any country conspiring to participate in or attempting to participate in a Conti variant ransomware incident. Microsoft warns of the rise of cryware, malicious software used to steal info and funds from non-custodial cryptocurrency wallets, also known as hot wallets. Data stolen from this kind of malware includes private keys, seed phrases, and wallet addresses that could be used by threat actors to initiate fraudulent transactions. Cryware are information stealers that collect and exfiltrate data directly from non-custodial cryptocurrency wallets, also known as hot wallets, because hot wallets, unlike custodial wallets, are stored locally on a device and provide easier access to cryptographic keys needed to perform transactions. More and more threats are targeting them, reads the post published by Microsoft. The experts pointed out that the theft of cryptocurrency is irreversible. Unlike credit cards or other financial transactions, there is no mechanism to reverse fraudulent transactions. This cryware is automating the scanning process for hot wallet data exposed online. The increasing popularity of cryptocurrency is attracting cybercrime that is using different means to target the cryptocurrency industry. There is a list of threats that are currently leveraging cryptocurrency. There's cryptojackers, one of the threat types that surfaced and thrived since the introduction of cryptocurrency. Cryptojackers are mining malware that hijacks and consumes a target's device resources for the former's gain and without the latter's knowledge or consent. Based on threat data, there are millions of cryptojacker encounters within just the last year. And there's ransomware. Some threat actors prefer cryptocurrency for ransom payments because it provides transaction anonymity, thus reducing the chances of being discovered. Then there's password and info stealers. Apart from sign-in credentials, system information, and keystrokes, many info stealers are now adding hot wallet data to the list of information they steal for and exfiltrate. Then there's clip banker trojans. Another type of info stealer, this malware checks the user's clipboard and steals banking information or other sensitive data user copies. Clip banker trojans are also now expanding their monitoring to include cryptocurrency addresses. Microsoft described the techniques used by crooks to steal hot wallet data, including clipping and switching, memory dumping, wallet file theft, phishing sites and fake applications, and keylogging. Experts also warned of scams and other social engineering attacks that cybercriminals use to trick victims into sending funds to the attacker's wallets. Microsoft recommends users and organizations lock hot wallets when not actively trading. Disconnect sites connected to the wallet, never store private keys in plain text, ensure that browser sessions are terminated after every transaction, enable multi-factor authentication for wallet authentication, double-check hot wallet transactions and approvals, use hardware wallets to store private keys offline. That's a lot of work. Microsoft warns of new hacking campaign aimed at Microsoft SQL Server servers. Threat actors are launching brute force attacks against poorly protected instances. The attacks are using the legitimate tool sqlps.exe, a sort of SQL Server PowerShell file, as a lol bin, short for living off the land binary. Microsoft warned of the attacks in a series of tweets. It doesn't attribute them to a specific threat actor. The sqlps.exe utility is described by Microsoft as a PowerShell wrapper for running SQL-built commandlets. Threat actors also use sqlps.exe to create a new account that they add to the sysadmin role, allowing them to take full control of the SQL Server instance. Then, the attackers are able to perform other malicious actions, such as deploying malware. The attack is fileless and does not leave traces on the targeted systems, bypassing anti-malware solutions. Experts pointed out that the use of the sqlps tool allows to bypass script block commandlet check logging used to record the content of all script blocks that it processes. Experts recommend to not expose Microsoft SQL servers online, secure them with strong admin credentials, apply the latest security updates, enable logging to monitor for potential attack patterns. A previously unknown Chinese cyber espionage group, tracked as Space Pirates, targets enterprises in the Russian aerospace industry with spear phishing attacks. The group has been active since at least 2017. Researchers believe it is linked with other China-linked apt groups, including apt41 or Winty, Mustang Panda, and apt27. The Space Pirates apt group focus was spotted targeting government agencies and enterprises involved in aerospace, IT services, and electric power industries located in Russia, Georgia, and Mongolia. The name Space Pirates comes from the string P1 RAT used in PDB paths and the focus of some attacks on the aerospace industry. The attacks were first discovered by researchers at Positive Technologies in 2019. The phishing messages contained a link to previously undetected malware. The experts discovered that the same malware was used in 2020 attacks aimed at Russian government organizations and in the summer of 2021 against other enterprises. Further investigations revealed that at least 2 more organizations in Russia with state participation were compromised by Space Pirates Group. In the first case, the attackers gained access to 20 servers for 10 months and stole over 1,500 internal documents containing sensitive data. In the second case, the app group maintained access to the target network for over a year. During this time, it installed malware to 12 corporate network nodes in 3 distinct regions. The Space Pirates arsenal includes a broad range of malware, including unique loaders and several previously undetected backdoors tracked as MyCloud Client, BH_AO006, DeadRat. The arsenal also includes the ZupDex backdoor, along with well-known malware such as PlugXRat, ShadowPad backdoor, Poison Ivy Rat, a modified version of PC Share, and the public RevB shell. The apt group also leverages the dog tunnel utility to tunnel traffic. The experts highlighted that the exchange of tools between app groups is common behavior in the Asian region. App groups with Asian roots continue to attack Russian companies, which is confirmed by the activity of the Space Pirates group. Attackers both develop new malware that implements non-standard techniques, such as DeadRat, and use modifications of existing backdoors. Sometimes such modifications can have many layers of obfuscation added to counteract protections and complicate the analysis procedure. As in the case of BH_A006, built on the code of the popular Ghost backdoor, concludes the report. A separate difficulty in the case of app groups in the Asian region is the exact attribution of the observed activity. The frequent exchange of tools used, as well as the joint activity of various groups in some cases, significantly complicates the task. Google addressed a high-severity authentication bypass flaw in Google OAuth client library for Java, tracked to CVE-2022-22972 that could be exploited by an attacker with a compromised token to deploy malicious payloads. The Google OAuth client library for Java is designed to work with any OAuth service on the web, not just with Google APIs. The library is built on the Google HTTP client library for Java, and it supports Java 7 or higher, Standard SE and Enterprise EE, Android 4.0 or higher, and Google App Engine. The root cause of the issue is that the ID token verifier does not verify if the token is properly signed. This means that an attacker can serve a malicious payload that doesn't come from a trusted provider. The vulnerability was reported by the security researcher Tamjid Al-Rahat on March 12th. The issue was awarded $5,000. That's it? It was part of the company bug bounty program. Google addressed the issue with the release of version 1.33.3 in April. $5,000? That's it? These guys are nuts. Anyway, advanced intel researcher Yelisei Bogoslavsky announced that the Conti Ransomware gang shuts its infrastructure, and some of its administrators announced a rebranding of the popular RAS operation. The news was reported by Bleeping Computer that, citing Bogoslavsky, confirmed that the Tor admin panels were shut down. While public-facing Conti news data leak and the ransom negotiation sites are still online, Bogoslavsky told Bleeping Computer that the Tor admin panels used by the members to perform negotiations and publish news on their data leak site are now offline, reporting Bleeping Computer. So we've gone a long way from them threatening to overthrow governments to just shutting down. According to Bogoslavsky, Conti will not rebrand as a large ransomware operation. Researchers believe that its administrators will operate with smaller ransomware operations. The technique is common for ransomware gangs that often clamorous attacks aim at evading sanctions and the operations of law enforcement agencies. Over the years, Conti has partnered with other ransomware operations, including Avast Locker, Hello Kitty, Hive, and Black Cat. Conti is the largest ransomware operation currently operating. Not anymore, because they shut down. Recently, experts announced the group also gained control of other malware operations such as TrickBot and Emotet. Last month, the Conti Ransomware gang claimed responsibility for the attack on Costa Rica government infrastructure after that government refused to pay a ransom. The attack impacted multiple government services, which we just read about in a couple of stories ago, from the finance ministry to the labor ministry. The initial attack forced the finance ministry to shut down for several hours. The system responsible for payment of a good part of the country's public employees, which also handles government pension payments. It also has had to grant extensions for their tax payments. XorDdos, also known as XOR.DDoS, first appeared in the threat landscape in 2014. It's a Linux botnet that was employed in attacks against gaming and education websites, with massive DDoS attacks that reached 150 gigabytes per second of malicious traffic. XorDdos leverages persistent mechanisms, efficient evasion, and anti-forensic techniques, including obfuscating the malware's activities, evading rule-based detection mechanisms, and hash-based malicious file lookup. Microsoft experts observed in the last 6 months a 254% increase in the activity associated with XorDdos. XorDdos spreads primarily via SSH brute force. It uses a shell script to try credential combinations across thousands of servers. Microsoft experts determined 2 of XorDdos' methods for initial access to the target systems. The first method copies a malicious ELF file to temporary file storage in /dev/shm and then executes it, while the second one involves the execution of a bash script that performs a sequence of activities via the command line. XorDdos uses various persistence mechanisms to support different Linux distributions, including inet and cron scripts, setting a system's default run level, and using symlinks. They point to the scripts that should run at the specified run level. Taiwanese vendor QNAP is asking users to install the latest update on their NAS devices and avoid exposing them on the internet. The company issued the alert in response to a new wave of DeadBolt ransomware attacks targeting NAS devices using QTS 4.3.6 and QTS 4.4.1. QNAP Systems Incorporated recently detected a new attack by the DeadBolt ransomware. According to the investigation by the QNAP Product Security Incident Response Team, the attack targeted NAS devices using QTS 4.3.6 and QTS 4.4.1, and the affected models were mainly TS-X51 series and TS-X53 series, reads the advisory published by the company. QNAP urges all NAS users to check and update QTS to the latest version as soon as possible and avoid exposing their NAS to the internet. Since January, DeadBolt ransomware operators are targeting QNAP NAS devices worldwide. Its operators claim the availability of a zero-day exploit that allows them to encrypt the content of the infected systems. Once encrypted, the content of the device, the ransomware appends a .deadbolt extension to the name of the excerpted files and defaces the login page of the QNAP NAS to display a message. The hijacked QNAP login screen displays a ransom note demanding the payment of 0.03 Bitcoin ransom, which is about $1,277, to receive a decryption key to cover the files. That price is probably before the crash of all cryptocurrencies in the last couple of weeks. The ransom note also includes a link titled Important Message for QNAP, which points to a page that offers technical details of the alleged zero-day vulnerability in QNAP NAS devices for 5 Bitcoin, around $212,000, again, before the crash. Ransomware operators are also offering for sale the QNAP master decryption key for 50 Bitcoin, which could allow all the victims of this ransomware family to decrypt their files. At the end of January, QNAP forced the firmware update for its network-attached storage devices to protect its customers against the DeadBolt ransomware. Then in February, storage solutions provider Asustor warned its customers of a wave of DeadBolt ransomware attacks targeting its NAS devices. In March, the internet search engine Census reported that QNAP devices were targeted in a new wave of DeadBolt ransomware attacks. In early May, QNAP addressed multiple vulnerabilities, including a critical security issue tracked to CVE-2022-27588 with the CVS's score of 9.8 that could be exploited by a remote attacker to execute arbitrary commands on the vulnerable QVR systems. We now move on to other security news. The U.S. Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency added the recently disclosed remote code execution bug tracked to CVE-2022-30525 affecting Zyxel firewalls to its known exploitable vulnerabilities catalog. Who can guess what the next sentence is going to be? According to Binding Operation Directive POD 22-01, reducing the significant risk of known exploitable vulnerabilities, blah, blah, blah. If you don't know this by now, yeah. Anyway. So, last week, Zyxel has addressed the critical CVE 2022-30525 with the CVS's score of 9.8, affecting Zyxel firewall devices that enables unauthenticated and remote attackers to gain arbitrary code execution as the nobody user. The vulnerability was discovered by Rapid7, which reported it on April 13th. Zyxel silently addressed the flaw by releasing security updates on April 28th. Rapid7 pointed out that this choice leaves defenders in the dark and only gives advantages to the attackers. According to Rapid7, there are more than 15,000 internet-facing vulnerable systems tracked by the Shodan search engine. The researchers also developed a Metasploit module for this issue and published a video proof of concept of the attack. The U.S. Justice Department accuses Moises Luis Zagala Gonzalez, a 55-year-old cardiologist from Venezuela, of operating and selling the Thanos ransomware. Thanos ransomware, aka Hackbit ransomware, has been developed by Nosophoros, aka sqlps, and Nebuchadnezzar, a threat actor offering for sale the malware on several dark web communities. He has also advertised Zyxel ransomware and collaborated with multiple actors selling compromised RDP and VPN access to various networks, including Drummer Lou, as confirmed by Resecurity and Kella. The DOJ believes that Gonzalez is Nosophoros. The man was charged with the use and sale of ransomware and profit-sharing arrangements with cybercriminals. Zagala designed multiple ransomware and sold or rented them in the cybercrime ecosystem. One of the ransomware developed by Zagala is Zyxel version 2. It includes a doomsday counter used to count the victim's attempts to eradicate the ransomware. Zagala explained that if the user kills the ransomware too many times, then it's clear he won't pay, so better erase the whole drive. Zagala allowed customers to pay for a license to use the malware for a certain period of time or to join an affiliate program in exchange for a share of the profits from ransomware attacks. Zagala was accepting payment both in fiat currency and cryptocurrency. If convicted, the man faces up to 5 years imprisonment for attempted computer intrusion and 5 years imprisonment for conspiracy to commit computer intrusions. That's it? 5 years? The Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency issued Emergency Directive 2203, this is different than the BOD, to order federal agencies to fix VMware CVE-2022-22972 and CVE-2022-22973 flaws or to remove the affected products from their networks by May 23, 2022. The list of impacted products includes VMware Workspace ONE Access, VMware Identity Manager, VMware vRealize Automation, VMware Cloud Foundation, vRealize Suite Lifecycle Manager. This is actually the first time that I've ever heard CISA say or remove the affected products, basically saying get rid of that provider. But anyway, the virtualization giant warns that a threat actor can exploit the flaw tracked to CVE-2022-22972 with a CVS's base score of 9.8 to obtain admin privileges and urges customers to install patches immediately. This critical vulnerability should be patched or mitigated immediately per the instructions in the VMSA 2021-0014. The ramifications of this vulnerability are serious, states VMware. The CVE 2022-22972 flaw affects Workspace ONE Access, VMware Identity Manager, and vRealize Automation. The second issue is a high-severity, local privilege escalation security vulnerability tracked to CVE 2022-22973 with a CVSS version 3 base score of 7.8, affecting Workspace ONE Access and Identity Manager. The vulnerability can be exploited by an attacker to elevate permissions to root. The U.S. agencies believe that threat actors could attempt to exploit the flaws now that both have been disclosed. With that, I say thanks again for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already, and smash the bell if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
Don't forget to ride!